What if you had all the money in the world, a personal McDonald, your own roller coaster, and a vault bigger than a bank? Well, back in 1994, one kid had it all, and his name was Richie Rich. Directed by Donald Petrie, and starring Macaulay Culkin, John Larroquette, and Edward Herman, Richie Rich brings larger than fun, larger than life fun, wild gadgets, and a little bit of heart to the screen. But does this 90s family comedy still hold up, or is it just another forgotten fortune? Let's take a trip down memory lane and see if Richie Rich still makes us laugh, or if it's time to cash out. Let's get into it. Richie Rich opened in theaters on December 21st, 1994 with a budget of $40 million. In its 6 week theatrical run, it earned $38 million domestically and $38 million internationally, making a worldwide total of $76 million. Its opening weekend saw it earn $5.8 million, finishing number 5 in the box office behind Disclosure, Street Fighter, The Santa Claus, and Dumb and Dumber, numbers 4 through 1, respectively, with Street Fighter also opening the same weekend. Its final week in theaters saw it earn $1.5 million, finishing its box office run at number 17. Richie Rich is the world's richest boy, living in Chicago with his billionaire parents, Richard Sr. and Regina. Under the care of his cheerful, loyal butler, Herbert Cadbury, scientist Professor Keenbean, and Dollar the dog, Richie enjoys a luxurious but lonely life. At his father's reopening of the United Tool Factory, Richie sees the union rep Diane Kozinski's daughter Gloria and her friends playing sandlot ball, and later tries to befriend them. Lawrence Van Doe, the greedy CFO of Rich Industries, plots with head of security Ferguson to kill the Riches and steal their fortune, believed to be stored in the family's secret vault. As the Riches prepare to leave Chicago to visit Queen Elizabeth II in England, Ferguson plants a bomb among their gifts for the Queen's birthday. Cadbury convinces Regina to stay home instead and arranges for a day of fun with the Sandlot, accompanied by Diane, who had begun to take a shine to the stiffly debonair but caringly kind Cadbury. Though initially bribed by Cadbury to come and play with the Richie, the kids decline the money after genuinely having fun with Richie. Flying the plane themselves, Richard and Regina discover the bomb just before it explodes, crashing the plane into the ocean. Stranded on a life raft, Richie's parents are presumed dead, and Van Doe takes control of Rich Industries. He attempts to close the factory, prompting Richie to assume leadership of the company himself, with Cadbury as his legal guardian business proxy. Determined to seize the Rich's fortune, Van Doe has Cadbury framed for the bomb and arrested, and subsequently petitioned successfully to take over as Richie's legal guardian. He then regains control of Rich Industries, removing Richie as the company leader, evicts the rest of the Rich family servants, and installs his own security team at Rich Manor to keep Richie prisoner. Overhearing Van Doe's plan to have Cadbury killed in jail, Professor Keenbean warns Richie, who sneaks out and rescues Cadbury. They enlist the help of Gloria and Diane, who develops romantic feelings for Cadbury, while Van Doe and Ferguson threaten Keenbean into revealing that the family vault requires a voice-activated code from Richard and Regina. At sea, Richard manages to repair his dad link, a device allowing Richie to track him anywhere in the world. Using Gloria's computer, Richie finds the dad link signal, but Ferguson intercepts the coordinates and kidnaps Richard and Regina. Richie and Gloria rally the Sandlot kids to break into Rich Manor, with Cadbury and Diane using Keenbean's inventions against Van Doe's men. Unfortunately, Richie and Cadbury find out that the dad link reveals that Richard and Regina are in Richie's room, and Van Doe and Ferguson anticipated their arrival. Meanwhile, one of Van Doe's men, named Nash, captured Gloria, Diane, Tom, Omar, and Pee-wee outside. Van Doe forces Richard and Regina to take him to the vault, while Ferguson and Nash force Richie, Cadbury, Diane, Gloria, Tom, Omar, and Pee-wee into the molecular reorganizer. Ferguson and Nash's plan to turn them turn them into bedpans is thwarted by Professor Keenbean, who gets Nash stuck to his invention of cementia on the steps and knocks a blinded Ferguson out with the help of his invention, Rollerby. Richie takes a bag of Keenbean's inventions to save Richard and Regina. Holding Richard and Regina at gunpoint, Van Doe is led to the vault hidden within Mount Richmore, their gigantic mountainside family portrait that is in the process of being 3D laser carved into the rock. Once through the voice-activated doors, however, Van Doe is furious to discover that there are none of the family's financial assets inside the vault, but what the riches actually value most, treasured family mementos and heirlooms. Richie confronts Van Doe, who shoots him, but the bullets prove harmless thanks to Keenbean's bulletproof spray. Van Doe pursues the Riches down the side of the mountain. The Rich family come under attack from carving laser blasts shot by an infuriated Ferguson. Cadbury follows Ferguson and they fight. Ferguson clobbers Cadbury over the head, but Cadbury regains consciousness and takes out Ferguson by bashing him over the head with a concrete picture of Regina, saving the Rich family. Cadbury fires the laser at Van Doe, and Van Doe ends up hanging upside down for dear life. Although Richard doesn't like firing staff, he allows Richie to fire Van Doe, and Regina punches him in the face. Days later, Richie plays baseball with Gloria and his new friends for the United Tool Team in Rich Manor's yard, coached by Cadbury, who shares a kiss with Diane. Van Gogh and Ferguson serve as the Manor's gardeners as part of their work release, while Richard and Regina are overjoyed that their son has finally found something money can't buy, friends. Now let's look at the cast and some of their other roles they've had. Excuse me. Macaulay Culkin as Richie Rich. Other roles from Macaulay Culkin include Mickey in the TV show American Horror Story, Ian in Changeland, and Richard Tyler in The Pagemaster. Rory Culkin as young Richie Rich. Other roles for Rory Culkin include Morgan Hess in Signs, Charlie Walker in Scream 4, and Mike in 5 Pounds of Pressure. Peter Lampley as Baby Richie Rich. This has been Peter Lampley's only role so far. John Larroquette as Lawrence Van Doe. Other roles for John Larroquette include Captain Stillman in Stripes, Sam Bodecker in Gun, and Dan Fielding in the TV show Night Court. Edward Herrmann as Richard Rich. Before his passing in December of 2014, other roles for Edward Herrmann include Bill Ford in Coach of the Year, Lionel Deerfield in the TV show The Good Wife, and Richard Gilmore in The Gilmore Girls. Jonathan Hyde as Herbert Arthur Runcible, I don't know how you say that, Cadbury. Other roles for Jonathan Hyde include Bruce Ismay in Titanic, Sam Parrish in Jumanji, and Leslie Woodrow in The Brutalist. Christine Ebersole as Regina Rich. Other roles for Christine Ebersole include Leah Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, Lucy Doolittle in Licorice Pizza, and Mrs. Brown in My Favorite Martian. Steffi Lindbergh as Gloria Kozinski. Other roles for Steffi Lindbergh include Bree in City by the Sea, Lizzie in Blown Away, and young Alice in Mac. Michael McShane as Professor Keenbean. Other roles for Michael McShane include Friar Tuck in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Tuck and Roll in A Bug's Life, and Rumpelstiltskin in Happily Never After. Mary Angela Pino as Diane Kaczynski. Other roles for Mary Angela Pino include Marie Morton in the TV show Home Improvement, Rita in The Solar Opposite, and Donna in Living Out Loud. Chelsea Ross as Ferguson. Other roles for Chelsea Ross include Lil Pop in Imperfections, Smitty in Trouble with the Curve, and Leonard Dalton in Drag Me to Hell. Michael Macarone as Tony. The only other role Michael Macarone has had is 12-year-old Howard in Private Parts. Joel Robinson as Omar. The only other role Joel Robinson has had is Neville Williams in the TV show Sister Kate. Jonathan Hilario as Pee-wee. The only other role Jonathan Hilario has had is the PE dweeb in Rookie of the Year. Reggie Jackson as himself. Reggie Jackson has appeared himself in other movies including The Benchwarmer, Basketball, and Bad Day on the Block. Matt DeCaro as Dave Walter. Other roles for Matt DeCaro include Deputy Stern in U.S. Marshals, Jerry in The Wise Kids, and Chevy in The Last Rites of Joe May. Ben Stein, oh, Claudia Schiffer as herself. Other roles for Claudia Schiffer include Susan in The Blackout, herself in Zoolander, and Carol in Love Actually. Ben Stein as the economics teacher. Other roles for Ben Stein include Rugg and Casper, Dr. Newman in The Mask, and Mr. Cantwell in the TV show The Wonder Years. Sean A. Tate as Reynolds. The only other role Sean A. Tate has had is Thomas in the TV movie There Are No Children Here. Joel Elegant as Ellsworth. This has been Joel Elegant's only role so far. Justin Zaremby as Reginald. Other roles for Justin Zaremby include the schoolyard bully and the hand that rocks the cradle, and 12-year-old Ralph in Giving It Up. Eddie Bo Smith as Ambler. Other roles for Eddie Bo Smith include the Dallas Bellhop in The Express, Copeland in The Fugitive, and Shadow in Under Siege. Jonathan Hyde has such a great voice for narration. Anytime I hear his voice really in anything, I'm hooked. And hearing him open this movie was such a perfect choice. Rory playing his brother's younger self in this is such a genius choice because I feel like it's the perfect progression from younger kid to older kid in terms of looks. Reggie Jackson being Richie's baseball coach is such a fun little Easter egg for those familiar with who he is. I do like how protective Cadbury is of Richie, and I enjoy the chemistry between Macaulay Culkin and Jonathan Hyde. Edward Herman and Christine Ebersole have such good chemistry as husband and wife. I really do feel like they make you believe they're married. The way Macaulay Culkin is talking in this makes it sound like he's got something on the roof of his mouth, but I feel like it works for this because he's supposed to sound snobby, even though he's clearly shown he isn't. Cadbury and Richie both being enamored by Claudia is such a simple scene, but it also shows that both Cadbury and Richie have the same thoughts. I've noticed Ben Stein really loves playing an economics teacher, both here and in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which that review will be coming. And I feel like he's got the voice for it. All Richie wants to do is play baseball with Gloria and her friends, and they think because he's rich, he doesn't belong with them on their diamond. Cadbury getting Gloria and her friends to come to hang out with Richie is such a beautiful gesture. The music cue when Richie finds out about his parents after having such a fun day works so well. I love Alan Silvestri as his composer, and every movie he scores, he absolutely kills it. Richie coming in and taking control of his dad's company while Van Doe was under the impression he wouldn't have any opposition is such a fun way to write the plot, I feel like. I do love that we get the magazine covers to explain what's going on in case you're not too familiar with, or in case you're not able to catch up on what's happening. Vando framing Cadbury for Richie's parents' disappearance is low but so well written. John Larroquette is absolutely fantastic as Vando, and having Chelsea Ross as his crony is great as well, I thought. And they have really great chemistry there. Richie's parents being alive and having been found, all while Richie, Cadbury, Gloria, and the others are breaking into Richie's house. Such a good way to turn the story from a bleak hostile takeover to a kidnapping and rescue mission. Keen Bean actually being useful and hiding from Vando's goons and helping save Richie, Cadbury, and the others is such a fun way to make Keen Bean a hero. Honestly, I love the fact that they end the movie with Richie hitting a home run, Cadbury kissing Diane and Van Doe, and Ferguson being in prison uniforms and doing groundskeeping. I feel like it's the perfect way to tie this movie up, bring it to an end. Now let's look at some fun facts and trivia. When the movie was put into production, Macaulay Culkin was 5'2". The cast of tall grown-ups were hired to create the illusion that Culkin was shorter than he actually was at the time. Most of the adult cast is taller than 6 feet. Richie's roller coaster is the Iron Wolf at Six Flags of Great America. The Forbes Fictional 15 ranked Richie Rich as the fourth richest fictional character in 2006. He has a net worth of $10.7 billion. This is Macaulay Culkin's last major film appearance before his 9-year hiatus from film. At the time of filming, Macaulay Culkin actually was the richest kid in the world. John Goodman was considered for the role of Richard Rich Sr. And that's Richie Rich, a 90s throwback packed with fun, adventure, and more money than most of us will ever see. It's got gadgets, laughs, and just enough heart to make it a childhood favorite for many. But what about you? Does Richie Rich still hold up, or is it better left in the past? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more nostalgic deep dives and movie breakdowns here on Movies on the Brain. Until next time, stay rich in good movies, and see you in the next review.